Let's talk about the benefit, the beauty, and the joy of expressing yourself, of being true to yourself, being genuine, shining your light, of just being who you truly are, whatever you want to call it, with no filters, with no controls. This is actually what embodiment is, where we're moving more from being this false version of ourselves into who we truly are. And it is such a tough thing because when you're trying to figure that out from up here, that's where most of the problems come. So when we wake up from going through the motions and all of a sudden see everything and see all the identities, it's like, oh my God. And what does the ego try to do? Well, being a good little soldier that it is, it jumps in and it tries to fix everything. Because it's like, well, if I'm not these identities, then, I have to try to be me. So, we'd probably create some new identities, some new spiritual egos and things like that, and try to do this embodiment through the mind, which I'm guessing everybody does that. But it becomes worse because it's like now instead of just letting yourself flow through the motions, you've got this awareness, and the ego comes in and tries to manage everything, which makes it so much worse because now everything you do, everything you say, it's being watched, it's being judged, it's being analyzed, and trying to figure out who you are is kind of hilarious because I remember years ago, I was dating someone after my divorce, and I was like, I need to break up because I need to figure out who I am. And it's kind of funny. I mean, I guess I kind of did, not really from up here. You can't really from up here. It's not a plan, it's not a persona. It's just like removing all that and just letting yourself blah 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 blah. And it's kind of hard to describe. So I'll do my best today because for sure my life has gotten exponentially better, more fun, more enjoyable. There's a feeling of incredible empowerment with just getting to be yourself in the world, and not even a self that needs definition, but just stopping trying to be anything and just letting the words spill out, letting the expression come out. And people don't like it, tough crap. And even if your own ego doesn't like it, tough crap. Because I got to level with you. My ego, when something great happens in my life, I feel it back here. It comes around. It's like, oh yeah, look at me. And then when something bad happens, something, whatever, that it perceives is not the way it wants things to go or how I should be or blah, blah, blah. It's over here like, you suck. The difference today is I'm 150 million% aware of it. And it's it's like very far away. I perceive it today more like it's off in another county. It tries to come in and it's like, I feel you coming a mile away. And there's the ability to stay in this spaciousness of presence, of neutrality, of isness, and of awareness. But my ego's not gone. I don't know if it ever completely leaves, but I'm full on aware of it. The challenge is not to tangle with it because the one that wants to tangle with it is also the ego. And so to be very, very aware of all of these things. But I really want to go today into you um, letting your light shine. You have a uniqueness. You have unique expressions that you came here to share, that the world wants, the world is asking for. And it doesn't have to be like starting a business or making paintings or very cool things like that. It can be any of those things, but it's literally more subtle and more everyday. It's like you just being able to be you and fully allow it and accept it. God, that word allowing used to really, I'm not a big fan of it. I always like the word surrender. I surrender to myself, my creator self, take command of my life, my world, my health, my wealth, my body, my mind, my work. I'm just going to show up. And I know that if I can flow through life without resistance, it all is beautiful because you can feel that in your body. Take a breath with me right now. Let's do a little energy work. And I'd like you to just give yourself permission right now to fully accept yourself. Every word you've ever said, every decision you've ever made, just choose it and don't think about it and just say, damn it, I love myself enough. I'm going to try this. Just try it on like you're trying on a new outfit and see how it feels in your body. I fully accept every word I've ever said, everything I've ever done. I fully accept my body as it is, my mind, my life. And feel that beautiful balm of acceptance in your body. Because literally, if you can just allow everything to be and flow as it is, that would be a really pretty darn quick way through into embodied enlightenment. And it sure is, sounds easy, right? Because that is easy. That would be real easy. But the ego comes in and tries to just make everything so convoluted and complex because it itself is convoluted and complex and filled with fear and filled with trying to protect and all that stuff that you put in there. So we're never a victim to this. We're actually the master that created it and the one who can choose otherwise and allow it to uncreate on its own, allow it to collapse on its own, just by knowing who you are and knowing that you're not. It's like I never found out who I was really. I'm still waiting. But what I found out a lot was all this that I'm not. And that's what's important. So always being aware that all these things that arise is what you're not. Now let's talk about you expressing your light more. Um, Expressing yourself. What is it that you would like to do? What ideas have you had? Maybe it's to work different jobs. Maybe it's to create different things. Maybe it is to create a business. Maybe. Um, the ego's job is to shut you down and keep you small and keep you safe. So being true to yourself really, really involves asking yourself, like, okay, um, is this choice or this idea or this action, is this going to open me up more or shut me down more? And when these maybe ideas or things come to you, you can ask yourself, all right, well, is this love or not? And up here, it's going to make that all really confusing. So you can sort it out like this sometimes. Love unites, fear divides. So, would this unite or divide? Would this allow me to connect to more people or not? Or am I doing anything out of obligation, guilt, shame, what other people will think, what I want, how I want others to perceive me or treat me? Those are all clues that that is not genuine. What comes from you is what you want to do. So, what I used to like to do is erase everybody. I love energy work. I do it all day, every day. It's just in my consciousness. I'm doing it when I'm walking down the street, driving half the time. So, just look at all the people in your life, all the people on social media, all the people in the world, and just erase all those egos. Just erase them. Just take your gold eraser and poof, take a breath of clarity. And now, if nobody's opinion existed in this whole wide world, what would I do? You can ask this question with every decision. Do I want to do this or not? Or do I want to accept this invitation or not? Or blah, blah, blah. Now, I know you have something in you that wants to be expressed. It could be getting on Facebook and saying, hey, great job. I love what you did. There's love that wants to come out of you. Love loves to love. Like, creator, your true essence, you to love yourself, to love life, to love others. That's being true to yourself. There's a part of you in there that seeks connection and engagement, I will call it, with yourself, with your body, and with the world, with people, with things, whatever, nature, animals. So back to shining your light And the ego, of course, wanting to keep you safe and small. God bless it. God bless the little bugger, right? It just wants to keep you safe and small. I'm going to share one example, and hopefully, you'll glean lots of things out of this that you can pick out. Again, I'm on a roll of sharing about my jobs. I've had 33 jobs in this life, and I'm 50. Currently, I'm a job coach in my community. That's like my community integration, which I find very important because, hmm, working with everybody and doing all this metaphysical stuff. And then it's like there's an element where you're just dealing with and connected to and engaging with people that are still living, we'll say, in a very different way. And it helps that translation of sometimes the awareness that I have and how to bring it through and relate with other people that are having all different experiences. So I go all over now to all different businesses in my community. I go all over. Sometimes I work at people's houses, different employers. I'm walking in, meeting people constantly. We have an office. I work from home. And that's a lot of expression. That's a lot of just hitting the light switch. Let's go. I don't think about what I'm going to say. I don't have a script. I don't have a script for these videos. You learn to live as the flow of source that you are, as the open portal of source consciousness. And if you try to control it through here, you limit it. You box it in, you shrink it, you pull it in. If you allow it to flow without guidelines, without trying to put it into mental concepts, plans, projections, agendas, outcomes, if you let it flow without trying to project your own mental points onto it, it's much more expansive. It's actually more you, but it feels like the most terrifying thing in the world because the mind, the ego, all it knows is its little identities and it's invested in keeping those identities. Its whole thing, the ego's whole thing is being right, being self-righteous, proving itself, right? And so if these identities, you've gained your self-worth based on them for the most part, right? Sense of self, sense of existing. So when you start saying, I don't need any of that, and I'm just going to let myself flow without thinking about it, without planning, without strategizing, without trying to be anything, without all those overlays, it feels terrified because it's the unknown and it doesn't have control. So your willingness to walk through that fear is huge. All right, so a couple years ago, I got another new side job in the community working at a convenience store, 24/7 convenience store, doing everything from cashier to garbages at the fuel pumps, cleaning bathrooms, cooking. And it was a crazy busy place, like thousands of customers a day. Um, and funny enough, now my background being in corporate, I was a general manager for businesses before. I was pricing manager, compliance manager, operations manager, all this kind of leadership stuff. And then I became just a retail associate at a place. Now, from the egoic standpoint, what a relief. I immediately felt like, and I'm not demeaning any jobs like this, but I will be honest with you. My ego felt like, well, this doesn't really matter. I'm not the boss. I'm not the leader. I can just whatever. Like, who cares? I'm just working for a gas station. So the ego itself sort of wasn't as identified with this role because in the past it had bigger roles. And so there was a sense of like, I can just go in and act however I want. Oh, what a freedom. If I don't have to mind my P's and Q's and be all perfect and stuff like that. So I immediately felt like a sense of relief with that. Now, keeping in mind the ego is polarized. What's up must come down. good and bad, right and wrong, masculine, feminine. So it's one coin, and there's always two sides to that coin. The other side of this coin was, I don't know, it felt a little bit like a loser. Like it went backwards in life, right? Like I'm just doing this job. So there was a judgment about it, a heavy negative judgment, and then there was a positive. And that is, in a snapshot, what dualistic, egoic life is like and what we've been carrying in our consciousness. And both sides of that have weight. Both of these are, again, one coin, and that's like a layer of identity, of armor that we carry around with us that is very, very heavy. So, throughout working here, though, what I decided to do was show up every day and treat it like a yoga class. Just breathe through every motion, breathe in flow, judge no thing, judge no one, judge not myself, and not try to control myself at all. Just go and have fun. That's it. Just go do a good job. Like, 'cause I always like to do my job. That's what I'm there for, and have fun. And it was the most joyful, it might be the most joyful fun I've ever felt in a job of all things. Who would have thunk? But all day I would just keep flowing. And you know what? If my mind, if I'm sorry, not my mind, I will say, if the body spewed out words that were kind of snarky, I just, whatever. If I said this, whatever. If I said that, whatever. There was no measuring what I said. There was no managing it, and there was no analyzing it. I feel like I had that experience just to open me up and show me what it's like to just be and to flow without trying to be anyone or anything. I felt very identityless there. Like I'm just this worker doing this job and whatever came out of me. Can you feel into that, like how that would be? And where in your life do you like have these identities that kind of overshadow how you feel and what you say and what you do, and coming back and questioning what you said or what you did? At the end of each day, I never, ever, ever went home, driving home, whatever, usually driving home now, little tip, I would be like, yes, woo, that was so much fun. I would proclaim it out loud. I would scream it out my window. I had a nice country drive, and usually the windows were down and the sun was shining. I was usually done by 2 in the afternoon. And so it was great. And I had so much energy. I would work 8, 9 hour shifts and be like so energized at the end of my shift. Working, expressing people doesn't have to drain you, it can energize you. And because there was no self-consciousness, there was really no self monitoring or judgment. It's like the energy flowed through me, and that source energy just energized me more than anything. And the reason I proclaimed how excited I was every day when I left was because your body is always listening, the cells of your body. You know, I really enjoy having a healthy body. The more I love life, the more my body becomes healthier because the body is here to serve me. Your body is here to serve you. When it was giving us a lot of symptoms, it was letting us know that things needed to change. Now, for years, my body has become healthier and healthier and healthier. And I like that. And I want to keep that going. So I'm always, we'll say, communicating with it accordingly. So at the end of every workday, because I loved having the energy, I loved how I was becoming, we'll say, more energetic, and a lot of my tightness and stiffness that I had in my shoulder and my back was melting away while I worked there, because there was a lot of movement involved. I was stocking shelves, I was doing like physical stuff, and I had frozen shoulder. So this job really helped my body to shift into um, a healthier state. But the body's always listening. So at the end of the days, I wanted to make sure my body knew this was awesome body. This is great. Life is great. This is good. I want more of this. I want more of this energy, this freedom, this flexibility. So call it gratitude if you'd like, but noticing what's working and celebrating it is wonderful. Celebrate everything, honestly, because everything is happening for you. So now, I wasn't going there doing anything spectacular. I'm not going to win any awards for the work I did there. Half the time I'm scrubbing toilets, um, taking out all the garbages outside by the fuel pumps, and we had semi pumps. Goodness, that is a heck of a job. Um, so being true to yourself, being genuine, shining your light. This is an inside joy. It's an inner flow, an ease, a grace. God, it feels so good. There's such a feeling of being like carefree, not trying to control and manage, not being afraid of saying the wrong thing or doing the wrong thing, and really looking at it like if somebody doesn't like what I say, bye. The people in my life that are close to me, that know me, know my heart's always in the right place. If something I say comes across wrong, like I certainly didn't mean it that way, or right? So this inner feeling, God, I don't know. It's like there's nothing better. So on the outside, it might look like I'm working this kind of job that's maybe a step back from what I used to do, making less money. It's not as prestigious. Thank God it wasn't as prestigious. Not taking myself seriously, just showing up like I'm a nobody and I'm just here to do a job and I can act however I want, say whatever I want, and flow. That experience was magical. So, how could you apply that to your life? What do you want to create? What do you want to express? What do you want to do? Not from up here, but can you just flow? And I'll take that segue into what do you want to create? I'll give you one more example. You're listening to me right now because I finally overcame my fear of starting up my business. And in 2017, I started my website. I created my website and then I chickened out for like 3 years. And during those years, the beautiful ego trying to keep me safe and trying to manage everything and trying to manage my awakening came in often. And it was like, well, who really needs this? And there's other people doing it. And who do I think I am? And oh, this is just coming from the ego, isn't it? So you got the ego over here accusing you of being the ego. It's very weird. And on and on and on. Like self-worth stuff was coming up. Am I far enough along? Blah, blah, blah. But these expressions that want to come from us, they just keep coming. They just keep coming. And, I took my website down for a few years and then I came back to it. And can you imagine, when I was younger, I had severe social anxiety. My friends called me the mute. And here I am making videos now, doing workshops. I can teach classes. I've taught all different classes and things at different places. And um, that ego was trying to keep me safe, is why I had all that anxiety in the first place. But each time I kept showing up and going through it. So some questions to ask yourself and this is what I did. I started asking myself, like, well, is this unifying or is it segregating me? Well, it's connecting me with more people. If I had no fear, would I do this? And then, that you got the ego going, oh, you think you're all that? You're egoic. This is the spiritual ego. So you got the ego accusing, you know, that's where all these games get so nutty. And that's where you can't really go up here anymore. You have to go in here. So, in making the decisions as to what's coming from me, who I truly am, and what is coming from the fear, I would ask my body. And I became, today I can ask a question. The answer is immediate. My body and I are so integrated that it's just there. I don't always know the whys behind the answer, and I don't have to know the why. I just need to know what's coming from me and what's coming from the ego because it gets muddy. And so asking, okay, or I will say making a statement because this is muscle testing. Okay, this is coming from my higher consciousness, and then getting the yes or no. I have some older videos on muscle testing if you're interested, but years ago, I went from having to lay down and breathe and open up and get really clear and come into a space of neutrality. And then I could make the statement, this is in my highest and best good. And I would get a yes or no, or this is in my highest and best good, or the body is asking for this food or this exercise. It was a long process of relationship building, of getting clear, neutral, and then letting the body give me the answer. And traditional muscle testing, you might have seen it done like this, different ways, or this finger thing. And I did the sway test for a number of years. But eventually, through commitment, through practice, through connection, I it became like that. And through the inner clarity as well. So getting that clear answer on what's coming from you, again, love or fear, you or the ego, um, is very helpful in that, in following. And once you get that answer, quite often the ego will come back in many times with all sorts of arguments and self-doubt, 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 trying to get you to doubt what you already know. The important part is that you just keep stepping through and choosing to go in the direction that you know. And then once you go into the direction, whatever this expression is in your life, if it's spending time with friends or doing a job or whatever it is where you're connecting and engaging with the outside world, it's can you just take a breath? I just am, and let yourself flow. Not trying to be anything for anyone, not trying um, to reach some sort of outcome or agenda. It's just, can I just let myself flow? So, kind of breaking energy with the outside world and all your identities. Creator self, flow through me. I want to know who I truly am. I want to know my true expression. And the fun part is, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. You just let it flow without trying to control and manage it. Like you realize that every little word you say doesn't really matter. And what other people think of you doesn't really matter. And what the ego says about you doesn't really matter. And the more and more and more you come back to this, ironically, when you seem to care less than ever, kind of reminds me of there's been some books like that about not giving a bleep or um, you know, but really a lot of that over management is the ego about caring too much. So it seems like on one hand, you become irresponsible, careless, rebellious, throwing caution to the wind, not trying to be, I'm very politically correct or all perfect, or maybe to be the good spiritual person. You just let yourself be, and whatever identity comes out comes out. And I would find that sometimes these words would come out of my mouth and I'd be like, oh, I remember her, I remember her. Yeah, it's like childhood, we got teen there, we got 20 somethings, and you start watching all this stuff and you realize you don't have to fix it because those identities were never broken. You were never broken. You can actually just allow it all now to flow and move and merge and converge into the light that you are. I hope I did this justice because it's very hard to put these things into words and descriptions. But essentially, you realize that your job is to just accept all of your human selves and let them flow and not overly manage. And when you don't judge them and you don't feel like you have to manage or judge or try to be someone, because that's what you're unwinding, it all just starts to dissolve in the wake of the flow of your light, of your true expression. And your true expression isn't something you could really write into words. It's not an identity. So it's like hard to describe because yeah, I guess I really get to experience who I am now more which just means I get to experience myself in a flow that transcends the need to think about myself. And it takes a lot of courage. Well, because so many times the ego comes in and it wants to manage. Like, I'm just having a image here of like how companies that want to sell you crap are always trying to manage their image, or maybe like social media influencers, they're always trying to create an image, and that's what the ego is always trying to do with you. It's trying to preserve this image that it has of itself. And if you can be really that fearless and take a breath and be like, meh, what if it doesn't matter? What if nobody really cares? You know? And honestly, when you don't care and you can just be and you're not trying to be anything for anyone, including your own aspects, then there's a great feeling of freedom and empowerment and a big weight off your shoulders and a lot less thinking and a lot more of you that comes out. So I hope today that sharing this helped to encourage you to let yourself be, to let it flow, to be aware of all that you're not and not have to try to define or plan or protect who you are, and to just not take it so serious. Like, 100 years from now, we're all going to be dead. Nobody's going to remember what you said. And for sure, if you're here and you're listening to this yet, then along with me, your heart is in the right place. You just want to know who you are and embody who you are. And that is a tricky mess. I mean, it is so paradoxical. There's so much irony that comes up. There's so much your mind turns inside out, your body turns inside out. It's messy. And so, if anything, bless the mess and let yourself be messy and don't have to feel like you have to be anything different. Because no matter what you do in this human form, you're always who you are, and you are love, you are loved, you are infinitely perfect, whole, and complete. So if you tune into that often, who you truly are, then all of this can be kind of for fun, right? Like, can you just have fun with your human identities and expressions and watch them come, watch them go, and, give them a high five, a wave of great job, even the really funky ones. And it's that space that you start feeling more and more freedom. And then this is the flow that then turns into and becomes more and more and more of your manifestations in the physical, which kind of tend to happen for you because now you're not trying to predict the outcomes and control it from up here. So, thank you for joining me today. As always, the light in me honors that core source light in you. Namaste.